What's going on? The rate of divorce, the rate of broken homes, what's really going on right now?
Everybody was born a liability, flat and simple. Whether you're born into a rich family, whether you're born into a poor family, everybody is a liability. You see a man has a wife that is very beautiful, but when it comes to intellectual stuff, he doesn't do it with the wife. He takes it to another woman. When it comes to certain matters, he takes it to another woman. So at the end of the day, the man is married to one woman, but that woman can only solve one aspect of him. The other two aspects of him has been outsourced. Tell me, why would they have a problem in marriage? If there is one key word that you may use to describe what I do, I'm into problem solving. There are three kinds of problems, but I focus more on complex problem and then wicked problem. Wicked problem has a very unique definition. It's where the solution is the problem. For instance, if you have a father raping a daughter, now it becomes a wicked problem because the father is supposed to protect. So when you have a situation where in marriage, the problem of what you think is the problem of marriage is inside either of them, it becomes a problem. An angry man at home is usually not very angry at the place of work. Go check. The same man that tell you cannot manage his temper at home, if you see him at work, you'll be so shocked that this person will coordinate because he's considering salary.
But the reality of the matter is that how you should run your marriage is inside. You're welcome to the School of Bitter Truth, where you're going to be learning about the bitter truth about marriage, love, relationship, and life itself. And on this episode, we are going to be talking about what makes marriages last, especially in the African context, because I have a lot of global audience and I want to, you might also learn if you are living outside Africa. And the thing is, there are a lot of Africans who actually live, in the West. So this is for everyone. What makes marriages last? And on this episode, I am here with Coach Victor Prince Dixon, the grandmaster of the mind himself, the human capital engineer. And we're going to be having this interesting conversation. Hello.
Thank you, Dennis.
The
Thank you.
grandmaster himself.
Thank you so much for having me.
So we're about to have a very, very serious conversation because like I always say, that when we have broken families, we're going to have the society will be broken the more, right? And I heard someone say something profound, that everything rises and falls on the family, right? And if we don't do something about the family and the fact that we need to teach people how to build strong, healthy, and lasting marriage, we'll have problem in our society. So let's start this conversation with the reality of marriages right now. What is going on exactly? What's going on? The rate of divorce, the rate of broken homes. What's really going on right now?
Well, for me, I have been in the business, or maybe say in the circle of dealing with human beings, the human mind,
Yeah.
things that has to do with thoughts and also emotion. And I can tell you this without any fear or favor, that nothing really is happening with marriages other than what you may call consequences, right? We make choices and then consequences happen. And so if we change the choices, then the consequences also will change. Most times people call they see consequence as punishment. But the word is consequences, consistent sequence, meaning things are happening because we are on a particular pathway. So if we change the pathway, the destination also will change. And my position is simple. Really, there really is no big deal with marriage. There is no marriage problem per se. What we have is human being problem. Marriage in principle originally was designed for two good people. And so one good person, one bad person cannot make marriage work. Two bad people cannot make marriage work. For marriage to make sense, it has to be two good people. And unfortunately, we live in an era in the world where people are not interested in being good, but they are interested in enjoying the benefits that comes with marriage. So that's where the conflict begins. You are not interested in being good, but you're interested in enjoying every good thing that come with the institution called marriage, naturally there's going to be a conflict. And that conflict is what we're paying for today.
Hmm. Wow. So marriage is for two
Good
good
people. There's no
people.
two way about it.
So don't you think that it's possible for people to be good and stay out bad marriages? Because I think, in my own opinion, that there are different factors that make for a good marriage, for a healthy marriage, right? And there are people who have good intentions. And it's even possible, in my opinion, to have two people who are good human beings, who have good intentions, but are not able to build a healthy marriage, maybe because of they lack the skill, the knowledge, and the capacity to manage the challenges in marriage.
That is not true. It's not possible. And I'll explain to you why. It's very simple. No, you cannot be ignorant and be good.
Wow.
Ignorance and good doesn't work.
Hmm.
That's the whole idea. So if you're good, you must be knowledgeable. Yes. Because anytime, when there are certain, one of the key things we have to learn is that we have to learn that the greatest battle on earth is the battle of meaning, is the battle of what you call words.
Hmm.
And so if someone succeeds in giving you a wrong definition of a thing, the person don't need to be there. The person can damage your life for good, for the rest of your life.
Hmm.
So the word good, in the very nature of the word good, is a compound term that means you understand the responsibility and the duty of what it takes to live life. That's what it means. So if you understand that, you understand principles, you understand values, you understand the ethics. And there's no how you understand principle, ethics, and values, you don't understand skills and competence, because all of them go hand in hand. Because naturally, the world does not favor an ignorant person. That's a simple plot forward. Now, whether you're dealing in marriage, whether you're dealing in business, whether you're dealing in any kind of thing you're doing, the world never favors anyone who is ignorant.
Hmm.
Ignorant by the very nature is a disease, is a weakness. It doesn't help anyone. So you cannot be good at the same time be ignorant. That's what I'm saying, that it doesn't work. You have being good demand that you're knowledgeable.
Wow. You are going to dive deeper into that, because I mean, I when people say good, especially in this part of the world, good means that you're morally upright,
Okay.
right? So, like, oh, I'm a good person, I don't harm anybody. Why is this not working? So I've had people come for sessions and they're like, I'm a good person, I don't harm anybody, I don't look for anybody's trouble, right? I'm harmless. Why is my marriage not working? Why is my spouse treating me the way my spouse is treating me? And now you're bringing a new perspective that good does not mean that you are necessary, not because you are morally upright, you don't harm anybody, then you are good. If you lack necessary skill, necessary knowledge to make you responsible enough to create the outcome you want, you are not good.
You're not good. There's no two way. Let's explain it very well.
Wow.
Let's go to the root. Now, what is the meaning of good? Where do you derive the meaning of the word good? The word good, for which we tie to morality, is tied to the fact that you understand how the world is shaped. You understand the fact that everything on this earth was created by someone, right? And that person is good. So you are like an extension of that good personality that created the world. Is that not where most people get their definition from? So if you're coming from good, it means, like they say, the son of a snake must also look like a snake, right? So if you're coming from good, it means you come with the particles, the character that makes the God you're talking about. And if you're talking about the supreme God that has built everything, right, and made the whole universe the way it is, it follows therefore that the God you're dealing with is not God. One of the characteristics that make him God is knowledge. Is that not?
Yeah.
It's knowledge.
It's
It's
all-knowing.
inside. It's all knowing. So you cannot follow and say you are a son of a God and then you are not knowing. Does it connect? It doesn't connect. That's what I'm saying. So you cannot claim morality, because for you to claim morality, you must understand principles. You must understand what is evil and what is good. Then you decide to choose a path and now say that makes you a good person. So that means it drives you again to the point of knowledge. And that's why even as a Christian, you hear the Bible will say, my people perish for lack of knowledge. Because it doesn't connect. How can a God you have, a God who protects and keep everyone alive, will tell you my people? It's like saying a Dangote now saying my children are going hungry. It doesn't connect because Dangote is a rich person. So the children naturally shouldn't go hungry. So it's the same thing with the context of good. If you say a thing is good because of morality, it means you draw that goodness from the knowledge and understanding that you have a good God. If you are following that good God, and then you know that good God, part of his characteristics is all knowing, and then you don't know, it doesn't connect. You are not the son of the soil, like they will say. You are not the son of that God.
So this is actually very profound for me personally, right? So marriage, or a healthy marriage, has to be between two good people
Who
right?
must be knowledgeable.
Now that means that if you're going to have a healthy and a lasting marriage, it means that, I'm just saying, that it starts with your choice. Or let me say it this way. I think I heard somebody say this, and I'm going to say it this way. To have a healthy and a lasting marriage, it starts from you being a good person or the right person. Then you have to choose the right person before you can have a healthy and a lasting marriage. Is that correct?
Let me expand it this way. You see, anyhow anybody excuse it, whatever class you belong to, there are two kinds of people on planet Earth. Two. Everybody falls into this classification. You have what we call human liabilities, and then you have human assets. Now, human liabilities are the people, if they come into your life, they take more than they give. How you get to know them is they will always take more than they give you. If they enter into a relationship with you, they take more. If you look at your relationship with them over the years, you will notice they will take more than they give. In marriage, they will take more than they give. If you bring them to a business, they will take more from that business than they give the business. Then you have the second set of people who are human assets. What they do is they give more than they take. It's not that they don't take, but because they give more, there is always progress. But with human liabilities, there's always retrogression, because if you have 10, when they are done, you have 8. But with human assets, when they are done, you may have 12 or 15. So you see, life is always progressive with them. So oftentimes, now, everybody is a liability. Everybody was born a liability, flat and simple. Whether you're born into a rich family, whether you're born into a poor family, everybody is a liability. But the process of training, the process of education is what converts some people from liability to become assets. Now, that process of education is one of the things you learn in the process is decision making. But you see, you don't make decision out of thin air. You make decision based on the resources of knowledge you have. That's why you see knowledge is paramount in all these discussions we're having. If you don't have knowledge and understanding of the makeup of what makes a man, how do you take decisions? If you don't have the knowledge and understanding of what makes up a woman, how do you take the decision? If you don't have a knowledge and understanding of that marriage is a subsystem in a bigger system, how do you make the choices? So this is where the problem is. Most people make choices because they don't know themselves. They don't know the systems, so they make choices and then they pay the consequence of that choices. And that is why I started where I started, that everything happening in marriage today are just consequences of decisions. Just simply consequences. Look, it's not a matter of prayer will change it. No. You made some decisions and then these consequences will happen. Change the decision and you have a different result.
Wow. Now that you are taking this thing a lot deeper. And when you brought the conversation of liability and assets, so we have human liabilities and human assets. So a lot of people are married to liabilities.
Oftentimes, in fact, every relationship actually starts from liability versus asset. Sometimes both of you start from
being liabilities.
Being liability from the beginning. Why? Because how do I get? Let's be honest. What makes you a liability in every sense of the word is lack of understanding. I remember what I started, that everybody is a victim of their ignorance. If every problem on earth, if you reduce every problem on earth, there's only one reason, is you don't know. If you know, you will handle that problem better. So ultimately, we are all victims of our ignorance. So you pick a person or you meet a man meets a woman. You don't know her. And oftentimes, there's a mistake we make. We oftentimes profile people based on their personality. But you're dealing with people who are coming from generations. They have an ancestral line. Some ancestral line have density of trauma. Some ancestral line has a lot of disappointment that has built over the years. Some ancestral line have so much pain of emotions that has been stored in them for so long that even the person carrying it don't even know until certain situation happen, and then they will react in a way and you are like, is this the person I married? So to a large extent, you're coming in as a liability. I don't know you. So I need to know you to some extent. You can't know everybody everywhere, you know well, but you should know to some extent. They call it minimum viable knowledge. I should know you enough to predict you. Do you understand? If I know you enough to predict you, then you have reached a level of knowledge that a relationship can start. But if you don't know anybody enough to predict them, don't bother. You are entering into disaster.
Wow. So there's something I think I've heard you say. I think you said it the last time we were on one of the YouTube live, and you said that everyone is a liability, but it is training that converts
The ability
liabilities to
to
assets.
asset, yes.
Right. Now, there's something I'm trying to get in this conversation. So when someone wants to choose who to marry, now you are saying that most people enter into relationship marriages as liabilities. How do I choose the best liability?
Okay.
Right? If not, can't someone be an asset before getting into a marriage?
Okay, let's look at it. One of the major challenges in marriage that I think that most people are not even aware of is what I call, actually I'm the one that called it the three-dimensional perspective to marriage.
Okay.
Which is, a man sees a woman and you want to marry her. And you look at her actually maybe from the physical attributes, but you forget that every human being is a component of three entities: the spirit, the soul, and the body.
Yes.
And each of them have their own needs. Have what you may call a balanced diet. The spirit require a particular balanced diet. The soul require a particular balanced diet.
Yes.
The body require a particular balanced diet. But because you don't even know who you are as a person, to recognize each of the balanced diet that each of these three units of yours require, you pick someone based on only one aspect. Maybe you can say spiritually we are compatible, like the popular word we use. But what happens to the soul? What happens to the body? And then you enter into the marriage. Only for you to realize that spiritually you are aligned. But when it comes to dreams, when it comes to plans, when it comes to strategy, when it comes to vision, you cannot just be aligned. So you go into mountain and pray for 40 days, come back, but you have conflict of vision. Or you come there, you are now having conflict of, human touch. That is the part of the body here, the body needs and the rest of them. So consistently, the challenge is that most people don't even know this three-dimensional part of them enough to know the choices they make. Because if you make a choice and you did not consider those three dimensions when you make choices, there's every possibility you're going to marry based on one dimension. You might marry based on her body. And she's good. She has a banging body that they will say it. And then somebody will ask you, why is it that this man is leaving a beautiful woman at home? It's because you are seeing the man as only one entity. It's only the body. There may be an aspect of him that appreciates the woman with all her beauty. But the mind, the strategy is not connecting. Have you not realized that one of the things that's happening in marriage, what I call the deconstruction of marriage, where you see, let me use men, because we're talking from a man perspective here now. For me, you see a man has a wife that is very beautiful, but when it comes to intellectual stuff, he doesn't do it with the wife. He takes it to another woman. When it comes to certain matters, he takes it to another woman. So at the end of the day, the man is married to one woman, but that woman can only solve one aspect of him. The other two aspects of him has been outsourced. Tell me, why would they have a problem in marriage? That's what I'm saying. And it can be any other way. Sometimes it can be spiritually that it works, and then they outsource other parts. Most times, as a consultant and also a coach within this field, most time people talk to me, and what are they? When you listen to couple quarrel and tell you issues, tell me that even as a coach, sometimes don't you get to a point and you ask yourself, where is the quarrel?
Yeah.
Because even them don't even know what they are quarreling for. They are not even aware to realize that the conflict they are dealing with is very vast. And this thing most times start with university days. In those days, if you remember, most people in school, they have the boyfriend that is writing, the intelligent one. So they keep him at the corner. They have the one that brings the money. They keep it at the corner. Then they have one that is very funny, but he doesn't have money, but he's not very intelligent. So that's a humorous one. They keep it at the corner. Unconsciously, if you understand what they call muscle memory, anything you practice, after a while, it becomes a part of you, whether you are aware or not. So you are used to dissecting needs. So your needs are thrown around. You have needs to different groups of person. Now you come with one person. That's why you notice most women will tell you they have issues in being home, being married. They tell you I'm being caged. Why do they feel being caged? Because somewhere along the line, they feel the outlet they are supposed to have is not with the person they are married. And the only person they can express it with, you're telling me I'm married, so I should cut off all relationship. That's what I'm saying. So at the end of the day, coming back to that question of liability and asset, if you don't really have that clarity of what you want, your needs, the different needs you have at different stack, then it becomes difficult to make a choice. That's what I'm saying. Any choice you make ab initio is going to be wrong. That's what I'm saying. It's going to be faulty. And like the Bible will say, if the foundation is wrong, faulty, what can the righteous do? So if you're having a startup foundation, I'm talking about marriage here, not salvation here, that is not very positioned well, what happens along the line? There's going to be conflict upon conflict, layer upon layer. Sometimes they tell you it's money, you realize it's not about money. They tell you okay, it's about sex at home, you realize it's not sex at home. The thing will just be moving. And I solve problem. If there is one key word that you may use to describe what I do, I'm into problem solving. And there are three kinds of problems, but I focus more on complex problem and then wicked problem. And why do I focus more on wicked problem? Because wicked problem has a very unique definition. It's where the solution is the problem. For instance, if you have a father raping a daughter, now it becomes a wicked problem because the father is supposed to protect. If you have an accountant stealing money from the purse of the company, it's a wicked problem. Why? Because that accountant is supposed to be the solution of that theft, right? So when you have a situation where in marriage, the problem of what you think is the problem of marriage is inside either of them, it becomes a problem. A very difficult problem to solve. So you see, goalposts will be moving. They will tell you this was a problem. After you discuss for 3 days, they'll move it and say, that's not the problem anymore. This is the problem. After a while, it shifts. So at every point in time, you see people running around looking for answers to solve what you call a marriage problem. Whereas the problem is inside
the people
in the marriage. And that's why I don't believe there's a marriage problem, even though there are very few. Most problems are human being problem.
Okay. So that's very powerful. So I want us to now arrange from here and so that people it's easy for them to apply. So we are going into the solution part of this episode. So if I'm getting you correctly, the first step to having a lasting marriage, right, is that the people involved must be quality people, or must be quality, let me not say quality, right? In the sense that it takes two good people, or in another word, two responsible people to build a marriage. A healthy marriage is a coming together, or the coming together of two responsible people. If you have one responsible person and one irresponsible person, the marriage is not going to work. If you have two irresponsible people, the marriage is not going to work. So the starting point is that you become a responsible person and make sure you choose a responsible person, then the marriage has a chance to be a healthy marriage.
Consequence, is a consequence of choices. Immediately you become responsible. One responsibility is not a title, it's a behavior, it's a lifestyle. So if you're responsible, one of the things that makes you responsible is you make responsible choices. So naturally you're going to choose. That's why you see there are certain people who don't settle for anything. People call them mean. People use the word they have higher standard. But there is no responsible person on earth that is not very particular to the kind of choices they make. Because this thing is not a title. It comes with who you are. There are certain things you cannot negotiate with. Either at that level we get it right or we don't bother to start this journey. Because there's nothing as complicated for you to be in a journey where it's supposed to take you forward. Like I said, marriage is an accelerator. Yes. That's why when I hear people
marriage is an accelerator.
Black and white.
Marriage
is an
accelerator. So when you get into marriage your life has to be better.
Yeah, it has to double. In fact, it has to double times 8. It's like an 8x acceleration. That's the blessings that comes with marriage. Now, anytime you enter marriage and you don't have that acceleration, then something fundamentally is wrong. It simply means one responsible person is carrying one irresponsible person. Most of the time, that's why I think we've discussed this one time. I think maybe on YouTube when we started discussing it. You have a man that has an anger problem. And then you're now telling the wife, please try to pray to God to give you a wisdom to manage the man's anger. That is irresponsibility of the highest order, personally for me. And because the issue is that's why I'm saying you're carrying a burden. And that is what makes marriage not to be interesting. Because you're carrying a burden that is not yours to carry. A person is irresponsible. Fix your anger issue. And how you know these things are based on hypocrisy is this. An angry man at home is usually not very angry at the place of work. Go check. The same man that tell you cannot manage his temper at home, if you see him at work, you'll be so shocked that this person will coordinate because he's considering salary. For salary purpose, the person will manage the anger. But when it comes at home, because we have taught the wrong perspective to marriage, when we expect spouse to carry the irresponsibility of the other spouse. And so the person feels I can be responsible and my spouse should manage it. You see a woman will tell you, no. You see that thing they talk about submission? I don't take that nonsense. For who? But go to work now. See the woman being so submissive in a way you never thought possible. This same woman will serve you tea left and right to the boss. This woman, look, time for work will come, finish and close. They will tell her, sit back. She will sit back.
Yes.
They will tell her, look, we're doing a trip, but we're not too sure. Wait, we don't know whether we're going or we're not going. She will patiently wait. But that same woman, see at home, she become a lioness and tell you, no, I don't accept this thing and the rest. So at the end of the day, you realize, and that's why you know that these are hypocrisies. Because they change all these things in different environments. That's why environment that don't accommodate irresponsibility makes people grow. Environment that accommodate irresponsibility makes people refuse to grow because they know that it will be tolerated. And that's why I stand on that part that, look, if two people, because after all, what do you need to run marriage? Let's honest. Okay, I think I will use this opportunity to address something I find very responsible. I know some even senior fathers of faith, for which I have high respect for, have said it. Things like love is not enough to run marriage. Those statements don't make sense for me. And I said, let's dig it deep. What is love? Because we have successfully redefined love to become affection, to become emotion. Love is a compound term. It's like a pot of soup that carries anything called kindness. You're talking about mercy. It is inside love. If you're talking about peace and understanding, sir, it is inside love. If you're talking about long suffering, it is inside love. Love is, in fact, there's no word on earth that can equate the definition of love except the word God. Outside God, I don't know any other word you can use to replace love. If you say affection and emotion is not enough, I will agree with you. But don't tell me love is not enough. It simply means you don't even know the meaning of love. Because if you know the meaning of love, you understand that everything you need to run marriage is inside love. And that is why nobody falls in love. You can fall in affection. You can fall in crush, but you don't fall in love. Love is a choice, highly intentional. It's something you calculate to give. It's something that will take from you. It's, in fact, something that will finish you. So if you have to walk that path, it's something you count the entire cost before you even start the journey. So it's not something anybody can stumble in easily. No. If you have issues with affection, sort your affections out. If you have issues with emotional, magnetic emotional pull, sort it out. But don't call it love, for God's sake. Because love is actually the raw material that every human being required to grow. That same raw material is what makes up marriage.
Awesome. That's powerful. So what I want you to do for us now is to give us a list. Just take it once. You can explain, but give us a list. What are the things that I think you were talking about the 3 dimensions? What are the things that make marriages last? That can help people build healthy, strong, and lasting marriages.
For me, I think the thing is this. I don't believe in giving lists, and I'll explain to you why. One of the greatest gifts that humanity has been given is called the brain, or it's called the mind. The mind is the big composite one. And what makes up a mind is you have a God, you have brain, then you have your heart. So, which means you have God, you have thinking, and then you have emotions. When you put these three together, they make up the mind.
Yeah.
And so, I don't believe that you give a list to a group of people who are coming from different background, different ancestry. The point of marriage they are starting is a different level.
Yeah.
So you can't give one template to run everybody. But rather, I prefer using the word insight. I can only give insight, but you go process the rest. Because we don't have all the time in the world for me to go deeper into most of what I've said. Whatever thing I've shared are what I may call horizontal processes. Things you pick and you work on them.
Yeah.
Now, anybody who hears a thing and didn't go to read and study it is not a wise person. So whatever thing I'm saying today, I'm expecting someone pick it up, go read it, and study it. So I can't give lists, but I will just give some insights that will help inspire the study and gradually lead you to where you make the best decision that works. The first one is, first you must understand your three-dimensional awareness, which is you must understand your spirit, your soul, and your body. And not only will you understand that there are three of them, you must understand how it is stacked. Because spirit comes first, soul second,
and
then body. But you see, the secret is that it's not always like that. There are times your body will go up, spirit will come down, soul will stay in the middle. Sometimes body will go up, soul will come down, spirit will stay in the middle. Decisions changes anytime this thing happens. That's why you notice there are certain situations you experience in life. The next thing you're thinking, I think we need to pray. It means the spirit is on top then. Means very closer to your maker. So it's easy for you to be spiritual at that point. But immediately it moves down and for some reason it switches. Any little thing, you think from a bodily part of it. That is why a man can see a woman today and marry her because of her body and tell you that's the best thing that has happened to her. Goes to work, come back, that body doesn't mean much because that structure just changed. Meet most women, they will tell you there are men that married them and told them I needed a spiritual woman, a woman that can spend time praying, traveling in the place of God.
Yeah.
And it sounds well, and the woman is happy. And she begins to travel, and the man goes and come back. Is it only prayer, you know?
Yeah.
Are you not seeing your mate that are pursuing dreams outside? You're supposed to have vision. You need to have something to take you somewhere. And then the woman is confused. But it was prayer, that made you, that attracted you to me.
Yeah.
The man has switched. Sometimes the man comes and he's talking about, look, what are you dressing? You're supposed to dress better. I don't like the way you're dressing. The same woman that he was comfortable with her dress code before. But at that point in time, the thing has switched. It's the body that is speaking now. And the body is looking more about shapes, sizes, and color. So imagine that switching. Imagine what that would do in marriage. When, because you don't realize this alignment and what changes them, you marry for body. Tomorrow, it is the spirit. Next tomorrow, it is the soul. So you keep seeing the whole thing is rotating. And the woman is shaking to the left, shaking to the right. And have you met women who tell you, I really don't know what this man wants? Because the man also is moving. And it happens to women. It's not a man thing also. It happens to women. How many you see women who tell you, oh, the issue is that I want to marry, pop, they marry. And then next thing they tell you, see, I'm having a problem. I just noticed that my dreams and my vision are not coming true. I'm feeling very empty. And you're like, hello, what happened? At that point, you tell them marriage. They tell you, forget marriage. I really want to do something for myself. I want impact for myself. What happened? Again, it has switched. That's what I'm telling you. You need to study how this thing works. Have an alignment and know which one is always up. Know what changes it at a point in time. If you don't, your knowledge base will be faulty. Your decision will be faulty. Then whatever happens, like I said, are going to be consequences. You will keep paying, keep explaining, and then end up by saying the world is a mystery. The world is not necessarily a mystery the way people say it. The book of Proverbs, I think 25 or thereabouts, said, it is the glory of God to hide a matter. It is the glory of kings to search it out. So whatever you think is a mystery, it's not necessarily a mystery. That you don't know it is you don't know it. But it has been made available. That's why for me, if you ask me who's a royal person, the first character of a royal person is the person must love knowledge. If you are not willing to go search for things, you can't see royalty. That is why schooling, actually, what you call education today, originally was reserved for kings. It was later it was democratized that anybody can go to school now. And that is why curriculum differ in different schools.
Mm.
Because the more you dig in, the more you're going to see some searches, some secret to how things are done. And that's why I'm sharing what I'm sharing now. And this, I didn't wake up money to get it. I also had to study, had to go deep. And it was also that scripture that inspired me. Look, guy, go search for what is the problem. Don't just complain and abuse and say negative things about marriage. What exactly is the issue? It was there I learned this structuring that it happens. And if you're not aware of it, brother, you will pay for it.
Mm. There's something you said about the fact that I think the way it is said is that the answer is inside of you. That usually people are looking for secrets, steps, recommendations, like we were just saying a few minutes ago. But the reality of the matter is that how you should run your marriage is inside of you. There is uniqueness to your marriage. Right? Every marriage is unique, right? Now, so can you talk more about that?
Okay, you cannot borrow a signature. One of the major challenge we're having is that we want to outsource responsibility.
Mm.
It's something we have to outgrow. We try wanting people think for us and tell me. We want this fast food kind of mindset when it comes to running marriage. Look, marriage is a responsibility, and that is why if you are not mature, don't go near it.
Mm.
And that is because maturity is still part of the goodness we're talking about, right? Fine. If you're not humble enough to want to learn, don't go near it. If you're not humble enough to be teachable, don't go near it. If you're not humble enough to ask questions so that you could research more, don't go near it because it will hurt you. That's the truth. You see, all the argument you have about marriage today is like someone putting their hand in fire and fire burns them. But does that make fire bad? No. People are using fire for construction. People are using fire to cook. So if you put your hand, I have my son, 2 years old, I think age 1 and 6 months or so. Every time you run, I want to put hand on fire. Tell him, look, guy, keep away from fire. The guy refused. One day I allowed him. After that, he's the one that developed a vocabulary called hot. He would just say hot, 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 hot. I said, okay, now we have an understanding about it. A very mutual understanding. Nobody's quarreling. Because the thing is this, everybody is unique in their nature as a person.
Mm.
Outside uniqueness, my work is to trace how people grow, developmental processes. If you don't learn how people grow, what do I know about you enough to give you a template?
Mm.
Do you understand? Let's just be sincere. Yeah, I might have read, I might have researched, I have the insight a couple of things, but I don't know people enough to start giving you the template ABC, 7 steps you should take, 3 steps you should take. No. But there is something I know that works. And what's the fact is that the first miracle that is undervalued in the world is the miracle of thinking.
Mm.
People don't understand that the first answered prayer is the brain. Anything you want on earth is built into this thing called the brain. Unfortunately, most people don't know how to use it. They underuse it. And because they underuse it, they suffer for it. All you need to do is you take a raw material, maybe between a podcast like this, or in a book, or in a research, or in teachings, any way it is, pick that raw materials and process it. There are 4 levels of knowledge. You have knowledge. I call it the spectrum of knowing. You have knowledge, you have understanding, you have wisdom, you have revelation. So anytime you pick knowledge, it's only a raw material and you customize it to yourself. That's when we call it understanding. So the reason why people are having challenges in marriage is they pick knowledge and apply in their marriage without understanding what. Maybe the person who said it, that it worked for them, understood it, but you don't understand it.
Mm.
So why do you think if you apply it, it will work? So my emphasis is this: number one, people must learn to start loving knowledge, start loving thinking, start loving the process of processing data and information so that you can decide what is good and what is bad. Immediately you start developing it as a lifestyle, then you start noticing that you start getting answers that will help you solve some marital problems. Because there are issues in marriage that come up which, for God's sake, nobody planned it. Sometimes your parents didn't go through it. So they didn't even have the luxury to even share with you how they solve it. So it might be unique to you. But the only way you can solve it is within you. Within everyone is a blueprint on what to do well in marriage. However, like I said, the entry point is very important. If the entry point is faulty, then you're going to be doing test by moonlight a lot in the process. Because, for instance, like I said, if you are a good person, you pick someone who is irresponsible, then you'll be carrying a burden that the universe didn't give you. But if both of you are responsible people, responsibility follows that you are learners. So even if I didn't know where I'm coming from, I can learn with you. Even there was a practice I had from my culture that is not sitting with you, both of us can sit together and structure it together. If there's a behavior I had before now that was bad, but nobody told me, but you have the courage to tell me as your partner that this is not doing us well, I'll grow on it. Even if I'm growing the process and I fail, I will support because I know I'm helping you grow. The picture I always say is this. I think it's an advice for two people to look at from different lenses. Number one, for you to appreciate marriage, this is how you look at marriage and you appreciate marriage very well. Don't be too fast in defining it. You are on planet Earth and you have, like, say, 80 years to live life. And 25, 30 years, let's say you're young, you marry at the age of 30. So the first question you should ask yourself, for the 50 years I'm going to live my life, what do I need to live my life? So which means if you're marrying or bringing somebody into your life as a partner, you should consider those demands. You need someone who should be kind in this journey. So kindness should be a major characteristic, right? You need somebody who will be forgiving, because however you try, there are days you're going to get it wrong. So you need somebody that has the capacity to forgive. You need someone who should be able to encourage and inspire you. Most people don't realize that it is marriage that requires that you have an investor. Most people don't know that. Your first gift of marriage is the gift of investor. What does an investor do? They put in money. They put in time. They put in energy in a project. So if you bring somebody into your life that can put in money, time, and energy into your life, that is an investment. That gives you a leverage. So it means if you have a 10 million and this person has another 10 million, you have 20 million. If you have 24 hours and this person is adding another 24 hours of theirs, you have 48 hours. So you see why it is an accelerator. These are the things you consider before you bring someone close into your house. Because you ask yourself, I'm going on a journey. There are days that I'll be low. There are days I'll be cold. There are days I'll be tired. I need someone to stand by me. If you don't consider all these things and then you go and marry, and these issues of life, which are normal things that will come, when they happen, what happens to you? It becomes a problem. Part of my work is postpartum. I did a lot of postpartum for women. And in the journey of postpartum, I got to realize that
Postpartum depression, right?
not depression.
Just
I really
postpartum.
call postpartum generally, yes.
Okay.
We'll enter into the bigger part of it. But the major challenge about postpartum for most women is that most women suffer identity crisis because of postpartum.
Yeah, sure.
Because the first thing, most people always think postpartum happens after pregnancy, but that's not true. Postpartum for a woman actually starts at the age of between 12 to 13, 14. Because that's the first time she's seeing her menses. For a young girl whose life was okay, just woke up one morning and realized she's bleeding. It makes her ask questions. And so if for any reason nobody is there to guide her, to let her know that these are the process of becoming a woman, these are the process of giving birth. But as far as the universe is concerned, that's the first time the universe gives her what we call the gift of producing another human being. The gift of nurturing another human being. So she had that challenge, that period, identity issue. Who am I? Why is this thing happening to me? What is the symbol of this thing? What does it mean? What does it require of me? How does it change me and the rest of them? Then the woman goes and then eventually start to evolve into adulthood. Her body begins to change. As her body is changing, she's beginning to suffer one of most things most women suffer, the first death for a woman. And what's the first death? Is for the first time, she started seeing people she have respect for want to take advantage of her body, either by pressing her in some private parts and the rest of them. And so she's shocked. This man is supposed to protect me. Why am I being exposed this way? And then she goes through that, gets married, and then gives birth. Most people don't realize that the entire 9 months for a woman to give birth, there are a lot of things that need to happen in her body for her to give birth. And she may need to lose her identity generally for her child to come out of her. She has to lose her emotions. She has to lose her psychology. She has to lose what they call her physiognomy, her body. Well-balanced body, suddenly the body has to change to manage the gravity and the weight of the child. So a woman that was well-shaped, happy and good with her shape, suddenly is going to lose all of that. And everything she goes through, she's struggling. And then after she finished giving birth, we celebrate the child and we forget that the woman has gone through a lot of processes and she needs to regain herself back. And that's why most of them, if nobody helps them regain identity, do you know what they do? They fall in love with their children. And that's why you see a child is 30 years, a mother is still dying to always say, this is for this person in my life, is for this person. Giving birth, the womb is for a period. After you use it, you're supposed to move back to your core call, your impact, the real thing that makes you before giving birth. Because giving birth is not the entire thing that makes a woman. It's one of the plus that makes her a woman.
Yeah.
So she has given birth. She's supposed to go back to identity. So imagine she marries a man that is not even self-aware to lead her through that process. Imagine she marries a man who cannot support her, provide insight and understanding for her to go through this process. What the woman knows is that after you're giving birth, the only thing you know is just tie wrapper in this house. I'm tired of this thing. Are you the only woman that has given birth before? Because you're looking at her body, you don't realize this woman is going through some psychological challenge, trying to understand who was I before I gave birth. Now that I've given birth, how do I take myself back again? How do I recover my dreams, my visions, all those things that I'm pursuing? How do I get them back? That's what she's struggling to balance between care for the child, find her identity. But you marry a man that doesn't know all of this, what do you think will happen? So for each time she's struggling with this, at that point she starts disbelieving herself. Her low esteem drops. She developed a low self-esteem. And before you realize, self-worth drops. And what? Imagine she married to a man who, that is when, if he's angry, because he cannot control his mouth, he now only look at you. After you gave birth, you have lost shape. It sounds very simple, but you see that word, after you've given birth, you have lost shape, boy, it goes deep into her bone.
Yeah.
He's killing her psyche and everything she is.
Yeah.
And start using words that are not meant to be used. She's in the house, but he's killing her gentle by gentle. So they are in marriage, you will call it. They are blessed with children, you will call it. They may be wearing anko, you will call it. But the woman every day is dying in the house. Gradually, she's separating with the pain and trauma, with this kind of words, with what she's struggling. Join all of them together. She's separating from the man. But they are wearing anko, but she's separating. Psychologically, she separates. Emotionally, she separates. After a while, physically, she separates. Then 10 years after, you heard their divorce. And then you are the one wondering, but I saw them now. Some years back, they were wearing anko now. They were happy. No, sir. It's because you didn't trace when the needle started moving. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying that this thing is that deep. It happens inside. Any divorce you see outside, sir, was not the day. The divorce maybe had happened 10 years ago. Somebody reached out to me on a story that the woman that just went for Mugo in London, and then she has left the husband. This is 10 years. The woman has not come back. And so when the discussion, I started asking the person questions. You get to realize that they have 3 children. Very systematically, the woman sent the first son to London. Systematically sent the second one, the third one. Then she now went for Mugo. This is 10 years, she's not yet back. So for some person, it's an event. It's not the event. That's what I'm trying to say. There's a lot that happens inward a person. And that is why I do not, for any reason under the surface of the earth, accommodate the fact that you are wrong to your partner and think it's normal. Because what you don't know is like chipping on a stone. It might look as if nothing is happening. You know the way rain drop falls on a stone. You might think nothing is happening. Give it time. You will see a hole. The bad words, the poor behavior, the burden of somebody is trying to expect you will change. 1 year, you're not changing. 2 years, you don't even think that it's your duty to change. And everybody's telling her to manage. Everybody's telling him to manage. They keep securing. And don't forget, everybody have what they call emotional size. Everybody have a psychological size. There's a size of stress you can carry. After a while, you will break anybody on earth. And so if you now marry someone who now stretches you to the point that all the goodie, the condiments you have as a good person begins to finish, then somewhere along the line, a good person might easily turn to become a bad person. Why? Because at the place of choices. So that's why for me, anyhow you go about it, choice is paramount. Know yourself enough so that you can choose rightly. If you don't know yourself enough, brother, you're going to choose wrongly. The rest is for you to manage it. And I will say this in closing, that there's what they call corrective lifestyle, there's what they call preventive lifestyle. Corrective lifestyle is you make mistake and you try to correct. So your life consistently is you are correcting. You insult her, you're trying to make up. You insult him, you make up. So if people are making up, it means you are not progressing. You are like in one place, making up. But there are those who really progress. These are the people who value marriage. Those who go through this stress are the ones who feel bad that marriage is a problem. But take it or leave it. Marriage is one of the best achievements anybody can get on life. Because in marriage is only the place you have one person permanently that is going to stand by you.
Yeah.
If you get it right.
Yeah.
Marriage is only one investor. That's one place you have an investor that will invest for you, on you, with you for life. Marriage is only the one person that at the end of the day, if you say you have a second brain, it's that person. If you have a second eye, it's that person. If you have a second mouth, it's that person. That's why it is the gift of living. But if you get it wrong, it will bite you and it will hurt you very well, because you'll be bearing a burden that is not meant for you to bear.
Thank you so much. That's a lot of profound insight that you've shared. I want to ask a question. I was thinking about this before. What's the role? And I think you did a class on that recently. What's the role of emotional intelligence in building, lasting and a healthy marriage?
Emotions usually okay, you remember what I described earlier on. The mind has three components. You have the God factor. The God factor, oftentimes I call it source code. Reason being that we have two gods. You have the general God, everybody call God, but there's also a God that you can only know based on the quality of your mind. I don't understand. So if your mind is small, ultimately the God you know is going to be a small God. So you see everybody call God, but the respect, the reverence they have for God differ, because the mind can only comprehend a particular portion of that. So at the end of the day, even though we have one God as an umbrella, people react to God based on the quality of their mind. So you have that. And how do you process that God? You use your brain to process that God. And then you have emotions. Now, what's the gift of emotion to thought? Emotions add energy. That's why they call it energy in motion. So emotions. So ultimately, if you lift your hand don't have a force. But if you're very emotional, your hand will have a force. So emotions give force to what we think and even to our body system. So that makes it very powerful. But the thing is that emotion is not sensible.
Yes.
That's a problem now. Emotions oftentimes is usually emanating from feelings. Feelings is controlled by hormones. So it means you can have any kind of feelings at any point in time. However, the way you think, the quality of your thought will regulate your feelings. So you do the same thing to three people, they react differently. Not because they don't have the same feelings. They had the same feelings, but not the same emotion. Because the thinking you brought into it, somebody comes in and says, all of you are fools. Then somebody else look at and said, all of you are fools. The person that said we are fools, we know has a mental problem. That already has solved the issue of there's nothing to react for. This one is not feeling fine. Okay. But somebody, I rate this person to be very high. Anything they say is very important. So if they say we are fool, likely I am a fool. So the person will react differently. So it means the same feeling, but thinking now changes how it works on the body. Because the emotions knows only three languages. The emotions would that make you to fight, it would that make you to freeze, or it would make you to run. These are the only three templates the feelings know. But when you bring thoughts to the table, and that's why they call it emotional intelligence. Now you're bringing thinking, intelligence to understand how emotions work with and on you. and on others.
Yes.
So which means he helps you understand. Have you noticed something very peculiar of recent in Nigeria? Because of the pressure in Nigeria, there are people you greet them, they get angry with you. You just greet them and they're just angry.
Yeah.
Why? Now, emotional intelligence teaches you that it's not your greeting that is a problem.
Yes.
This person is coming with a problem somewhere. Your greeting just amplified that.
Yeah.
So now bring that to marriage. You are dealing with yourself. You are emotional. You are dealing with another human being that is emotional. So if you're not emotionally intelligent, you've just set the stage for fire.
Yeah.
There will be trouble differently. You wouldn't know the right time to ask what is right, but you are asking it at the wrong time. Emotional intelligence says you walk into a room, you just look at the wife, you look at your husband, something just tells you at that very moment, this person is on a high alert, ready to fight, either because of a call they receive in a business. It's not a time for you to start fighting for your right in the home. If you try it, there will be crisis. The smarter people will now know that's not the time. I need to switch and suspend my pain, suspend my disappointment, and then let us make sure this person comes back to equilibrium. Then we can now bring the issue and table back. That's what makes some people smarter and better at homes. But for others, they don't care the time. They don't care the contenance. They don't care what is happening. As long as he enters their mouth to say it, they drop it on the table the way it is. And eventually that's where disaster begins to happen. So emotional intelligence, at the end of the day, is that it helps you regulate the temperature of the house. You can regulate the temperature of marriage if you understand emotional intelligence. But again, like I said, to be good, you have to be knowledgeable. You can't be knowledgeable if you're not good. I think that's what we've not gotten very right. We want to separate being good different from knowledge. No, you cannot be good if you're not knowledgeable. Fact, I'm telling you.
Awesome. It made me remember, I think, a video I watched, and the man was saying that you cannot be I think he said you cannot be a good person if you're not a dangerous person.
Yes. Because, let me add something to that. It's true.
You want to remember the person?
I'm trying to remember the guy. This Jordan Peterson, yes.
Jordan Peterson, yes.
Because being good comes with two things. You have the preventive arm of good. You have the offensive part of being good. Because if you're good, you must learn to protect yourself. Do you understand? That's what he meant by you are not a dangerous person. Because if you're a good person and you don't know how to protect your home, then are you good? You're not good. And I guess that's why even the Bible will say that a good man leaves an inheritance for his children, right? Why that inheritance for his children? That's to tell you that a good man is visionary. A good man has a plan. A good man has to be strategic. The problem we have is that we use religion to define good. So because I don't steal, I'm a good person. But if you don't steal and you're poor, you're not necessarily a good person. And you accept poverty, you are not necessarily a good person. No, that's what I'm trying to say. There must be that balance between there is a respect for divinity, there is a respect for morality, but there's also the wisdom to live in the world. If you don't have that wisdom to live in the world, you're not a good person. That's what I'm trying to say. Essentially, you are a foolish person. That's actually where foolishness comes from. So let's separate between foolish people, ignorant people, and then good people. If you separate these three, it will give you clarity on how to deal with people. So if you're a good person, you marry an ignorant person, you will suffer. If you're a good person, you marry a foolish person, you pay for it. That's what I'm saying. But if you're two good people, then you understand the place of strategy. You understand the place of skills. You understand the place of putting everything in the rightful position. Not long ago, we were discussing some things about leadership, which is also my core. And there's something the Bible said about leadership. It says, you cannot enter into a strong man's house except you tie the strong man. So the rule is nothing happens in an environment except the strong people in that environment has been captured. So nothing enters a home except the strong people in the home have been captured. So that's where the question is, are you strong or are you weak? If you're weak, your family will pay for it, whether you are aware or not. You can call it the devil, which we know there are two kinds of devil. So you have to be very careful which one you're dealing with. Yes, there are two kinds of devil. And now this is how I understand it. There was the devil before Jesus who at the point had that right to tell Jesus, look, If you worship me, I can give you all of these things. That devil came with power from heaven, generally, when there were crises and he was thrown down. Even the Bible said, he said, woe unto the inhabitants of the earth, for the devil, your adversary, has been thrown down. He came in full force, and that was why he had that capacity to deal with Adam the way he did. So he was strong to the point. But immediately Jesus died, there was a switch. So you're not dealing with a man that is not as powerful as he used to be. But unfortunately, religion prefers the first devil, because with that, you can preach fear, you can teach fear. And don't forget, no man was gifted fear. Fear is an infection. It is only when people teach you to fear, nobody is given fear. Nobody gets fear as part of the, what do you call it, bet. No. Fear has to be taught to you. I have to tell you things that will make you start being scared. I have to pump it into you. So if you understand that, you know that the best gift of every human being is a sound mind and love. That's why I said anybody who insults love, for me, is not knowledgeable. If you really are wise, you can't insult love, because you know love encompasses everything. Two things: sound mind and love. Why? Love is the property. Sound mind allows you to process the property so that you use it the way you want. But unfortunately, we prefer the other one. So you see somebody who is irresponsible, you come for coaching or you come for counseling, rather than tell you, look, Dennis, can you sit up? I notice you have a problem with anger. The next thing I tell you, see, the devil is attacking your home. I have moved that responsibility from you. I've pushed it to God. So rather than you now sit up and work on your, if you had traumas through when you were growing up, then let's deal with it. If the way you were raised did not help you, then let's deal with it. But at that point, we switch and say it's the devil. And immediately you say that, you take the right and responsibility of the couple to work on themselves away from them.
Yeah.
And then you put it in one thing, you say, let us pray. It is the devil that is doing this. It can only be the devil that is doing this. The truth of the matter is the devil is not as strong as we make noise about. He uses who we are to propagate whatever he does. So if you're responsible, then you know that whether you make a good choice or a bad choice, it's left for you. If you want a good marriage, it is in your care. A bad marriage, you are still responsible for it. If you're not able to take this honest truth, then you are not ready for this bitter truth.
We've had a very, very exhaustive discussion around responsibility, right? Around knowledge, right? Because these are the things you need about being who you are, right? To build a lasting marriage. So, in other words, we're saying that building a or a healthy marriage, a strong marriage, a lasting marriage is your responsibility. You cannot outsource it to anyone. You cannot blame anything outside of you, right? It's about you yourself, and you have to take responsibility for your marriage. You have to also take responsibility for your life. And I trust that, and I'm positive that, this podcast has started something inside of you that will help you and position you to build a lasting marriage. So, Coach Victor, what are your final words? Just in a minute, what are your final words for us?
For me, I think the final word for me, it's simple. Life is a choice. You want it bad, it's your choice. You want it good, is your choice. Marriage is the best gift I think humanity has. If you use it well, your life will be better. If you don't use it well, you will pay for it. But ultimately, it's your responsibility, whether it is good, whether it is bad.
Awesome. Marriage is an accelerator. When I heard that from him, it really, really resonated with me. I was shouting there. Marriage is an accelerator, and a healthy marriage is the coming together of two responsible people. So it means that there are a lot of marriages that cannot work, and most people know it because the person you have married is just irresponsible. And as long as you are the one carrying that responsibility, you're the responsible person in that marriage, you'll be the one that is going to be burdened, you'll be the one that is going to struggle, you're going to be the person that will be struggling, and that marriage will always struggle. All right, so we've come to the end of this episode, and I'm super excited that you were able to watch to this point. Right, if you're watching on YouTube, you can ensure you click on the subscribe button and subscribe. And if you're listening to the podcast, whatever platform you're listening to this podcast, ensure you subscribe. Then also share with your family, with your friends, right? If you have any question, you can just drop the your question in the comment section, and we are going to be here to answer it. Coach Victor, where can people reach you? Right.
Just go to your AI, any of your AI, and type Victor Prince Dixon, the Transformer. You're going to get answers.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So please, so I run a monthly marriage class, and it's a marriage where it's a class where 3 days class, where I teach about how you can build love in your marriage, and I share, practical insight on how you can take responsibility for your marriage. And the beautiful thing about that class is usually I start with how you can break patterns, right? Negative marital patterns, especially when most people are not even conscious of this pattern. So if you want to be part of this class, you click on the link in the description um, below, and you are going to be able to register for this class. Until I see you on the next episode, have a fantastic time. I'm rooting for you, and I'm rooting for your marriage. Bye.